Today we're going to be writing exponential functions. And so let's first talk about the parts of an exponential function. So if I'm writing an exponential function, y equals a parentheses 1 plus or minus r to the t. Alright, so let's talk about what these different things mean. This is your starting value, and just like when we were doing linear functions, your starting value is your y-intercept. Okay? R stands for your rate, and that's because most of the time exponential functions deal with a percentage. Now that's not always true. Sometimes you have scenarios where things double or triple, and those are still exponential, but there's no percentage, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So those are kind of your special situations, but most of the time there's a percent that you have to put right here. You gotta change it to a decimal. And then lastly, the T stands for time. Now the plus or minus, it's either going to be a plus or a minus every time. So some problems you'll put a plus, some you'll put a minus. You won't put both. I'm just putting there to kind of show you what the formula is. Alright, so let's actually do one and make a little bit more sense. You made $1,000 last summer working as a camp counselor, and you deposited it in a savings account earning 5% per month. So the 5% cues us that this is exponential. So when I write my y equals, your starting value comes first. So your starting value is 1,000. And then you're always going to put 1, and now I need to make a decision on whether it's going to be plus or minus. So let me go back and look at the problem. You deposited it in a savings account earning 5%. So that means they're adding money to your account. You also need to make 5% a decimal. You do that by moving it 2 places. So you go 2 places to the left. And if there's an empty spot, you put a 0. So that's going to be 0.05. And then I'm just going to put a t, or you could put an x up there. And that's your answer. That's your function rule. All right, let's do another one. You bought a car for $7,500. It appreciates 8% each year. So the percent each year makes us know that it's exponential. So y equals, your starting value is 7,500. Parentheses 1, and you have to decide if it's plus or minus. Depreciates means it's going down, so that's going to be a minus. And then you need to make 8% a decimal, so you move it 2 places, so that becomes 0.08 to the t. Again, you could also put an x. Okay. Oh, let me go back up to number 1 and show you the simplified version of this answer. Y equals 1,000. You can go ahead and add those things in the parentheses. It gives you 1.05 to the t. So this is also a correct answer. So let's do that for number 2. Y equals 7,500. Here, when you subtract it, 1 minus 0.08 is 0.92. You can use a calculator to the t. So these are both correct answers. This is the best one because it's been simplified as much as possible. Alright, your dad bought a stamp collection for $400 that appreciates in value 2.5% per year. So your starting value is 400, parentheses 1. You need to decide if it's plus or minus. Appreciates means it's going up, so I put a plus, and I'm going to move the decimal 2 places. It's right here, so I go 2 places. So that becomes 0.025 to the t. Right? If I simplify that, it becomes y equals 400, 1.025 to the t. If you add those, and you can use your calculator, you get that. Alright, your grandma bought $30,000 worth of stocks. The economy went to a recession and she lost 11% per year. So $30,000 is your starting value. 1, and you decide if it's plus or minus. She lost 11%, so that would be a minus. Move your decimal 2 places so you get 0.11 to the t. If I simplify that, it becomes y equals 30,000.89 to the t. 1 minus 0.11 is 0.89. All right, San Diego has a population of 850,000, is growing exponentially by 1.75% per year. So y equals 850,000 parentheses 1. It's growing, so that's a plus. Move your decimal 2 places, so that becomes 0.0175 to the t. If you simplify that, it's 850,000, 1.0175 to the t. All right, number 6, Mrs. Williams bought a house for $75,000 and it doubles in value each year. Okay, here's one of those special situations that I was talking about earlier. So doubles is exponential growth because it's going to make a curve. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger pretty quickly, all right? However, doubles, you're not going to use the 1 plus or the 1 minus. What does doubles mean to do? Doubles means to times by 2. Well, what do parentheses mean? Parentheses mean to times. So you're timesing by 2. So this is your answer. So when it says doubles, you just do a 2 in the parentheses. If it would have said triples, you would do a 3 in the parentheses. All right, number 7, 40 students originally joined the cross-country team at the start of the season. Each week, the team lost half its members due to the long runs that the coach made them do. All right, so we've got 40 is our starting value. And each week, the team lost half. So again, that's not a percent, but you can do they lost, so it's 1 minus. You would just do 1 minus a half to the t. If you simplify that, you get y equals 40, 1 half to the t. 1 minus 1 half is a half. Okay? All right, name the starting value and increasing, decreasing nature of the following. All right, so the starting value is the easy part. The starting value is 100. Let's talk about whether it's increasing or decreasing. If the number in the parentheses is less than 1, that means it's going to be decreasing. If you multiply something by less than 1, it goes down. If the number in the parentheses is greater than 1, then that would be increasing. Remember, you can pause this video at any time to write things down. So if you multiply something that's by a number bigger than 1, it's going to go up. All right? So 0.94 is less than 1. So that means that this one is decreasing. Okay? And I also want you to tell me what it's decreasing by. So we're kind of working backwards here. So you need to subtract 1. So 0.94 subtract 1. And it is decreasing by 6%. You move your decimal back. So 6%. So it's decreasing by 6%. All right, let's do number 2. 925 is your starting value. That's the easy thing. This one is increasing because it's bigger than 1. And you're still going to subtract 1. You're subtracting 1 every time because we're working backwards. So we're kind of taking this 1 out of the equation to see what percent is left. So you're kind of getting rid of this 1 to see what percent is left. So you're going to subtract 1, which leaves you with 0.27, which is 27%. All right, number 3, your starting value is 5. It is increasing because it's bigger than 1, and it's increasing by 1%. All right, number 4, 8,750 is your starting value. This one is decreasing because it's less than 1, and it's decreasing by 25%. You take 0.75 and you subtract 1, so it's decreasing by 25%. All right, number 5, your starting value is 10. It is increasing, but there is no percentage on this one. It's increasing, or you could simply write that it is tripling. If you multiply by 3, it's tripling. There's no percent on this one. Number 6, 234 is your starting value. This one is decreasing because this number in parentheses is less than 1. So I need to subtract that from 1 to see what percent I get. So I get 33%, decreasing by 33%. All right, number 7, y equals 1,000, 1.5 to the x. So your starting value is 1,000. This one is increasing by 50%. If you take 1.5 and you subtract 1, you're left with 0.5. If you move your decimal 2 places, you always go 2 places, you would get the number 50. Okay? And lastly, for this section, starting value is 100. This one is doubling because you're multiplying by 2. All right, practice exam questions. The change of a quantity after x years can be modeled by the function y equals 300.92 to the x, which describes how the quantity changes over time. All right, well, let's go ahead and rule out some answers. I have 0.92, which is less than 1, which means that it's going to be decreasing. So I can mark out C because that one says it's growing, and I can mark out A because it says it's growing. It has to be decreasing. All right, decreasing by 8 or decreasing by 8%. All right, this is an exponential function, so it's going to be decreasing by 8%. All right, the function P of t equals 87, 1.035 models the population growth of a town in thousands of people t years after 2014, which best describes the population growth. The town's population in 2014 was 87,000, or the town's population in 2015 was 87,000. Remember, 87,000 is our starting value, and they tell you that it started in 2014. So I can mark out B and D. It's got to start in 2014. And it grows at a rate of 103.5% or 3.5%. So I need to take this number and subtract 1. 1.035 and subtract 1. And then if you move your decimal 2 places, you get 3.5, which is answer C. What does the value 2 represent in the following function? Well, parentheses means I'm multiplying, so I'm multiplying by 2, which is the same thing as doubles. So it doubles each year. That's D. Okay. Increases by 2 would mean you're adding 2, which would be linear. Okay. All right, so you have something to do on your own. Please, please, please pause this video and try these, and then hit play to check your answers. All right, number 1 is 200.85 to the t, or you could have 1 minus 0.15. Number 2, y equals 2,550. 1.045 to the t. Hopefully you remembered to put in that 0 there. And number 3, y equals 6. Multiply it by 3 because you are tripling. Number 4, 8,000 is your starting value, and it's increasing by 20%. That's a hard one. I wonder if you got it. Number 5, your starting value is 20, and this one is decreasing by 35%.